Welcome. Come a little closer. I'm Evangeline Moss, and tonight the cypress trees are still, and the candlelight is low. Out here, the air is thick with stories, the kind that drift through the moss and settle softly around you. So, rest your eyes, listen closely, and let the swamp tell you a story. There are places along Florida's Gulf Coast where the land doesn't feel settled. Not haunted in the traditional sense. No shadows in the hallway, no footsteps in empty rooms. It's something quieter than that. Something older. The kind of wrongness that settles into wood, into salt, into the air itself after too many storms have passed, and too many things have been washed ashore that were never meant to return. The museum doesn't advertise itself. It sits just off a narrow coastal road, half hidden behind mangroves that claw their way up from the black water and silt. The building is low, concrete, with weathered paint peeled back in long strips by years of salt and wind. Most people who find it weren't looking for it, and those who were usually leave differently. There's no official name for the exhibit. Staff don't guide you to it. There are no signs, no plaques, no gift shop replicas. Just a small room towards the back of the building where the air feels heavier, like it's been sitting there for far too long. And in that room, there is a doll. Her name, according to the few records that exist, is Lenora. No one agrees on where she came from. Some say she was received after a storm surge dragged half a collapsed home into the mangroves. Others insisted she was donated, though no donor name appeared in any archive. The earliest confirmed mention is a handwritten maintenance log from nearly 30 years ago. Object placed in back room. Do not relocate again. There are rules. Not printed, not posted, but repeated quietly by anyone who worked there long enough to stop joking about them. Acknowledging her when you enter. Do not photograph her without asking aloud. Never laugh at her. And if you think she moved, you leave immediately. Most visitors never hear these rules, and most of them are fine. But the ones who aren't tend to leave something behind. Sometimes it's writing an apology. Sometimes it's footage. And sometimes it's worse. What you're about to hear are compiled reports pulled from staff notes, visitor complaints, archived emails, and recovered media files. The names have been kept where possible because, in at least one of these cases, the name mattered. Case File 1. The Influencer Footage. Subject, Madison R. Age, 26. Occupation, social media content creator. Incident type, escalation following mockery and unauthorized recording. Status, unknown. The first record of Madison R.'s visit isn't from the museum. It's from her own account. She posted a video the morning she arrived in the area. Bright lighting, upbeat music, sunglasses reflecting the stretch of coastal highway, and the caption read, "Found a creepy little roadside museum. Let's see if Florida can actually scare me." The clip ends with her laughing. That laugh shows up again later, but not the way it should. According to transition logs, Madison entered the museum at approximately 2:14 p.m. She declined a guided walkthrough and didn't speak to the staff beyond purchasing a general ticket admission. Security footage confirmed she wandered most of the building alone, filming intermittently on her phone. At 2:26 p.m., she entered the back room. This is where the footage becomes inconstant. Her uploaded video from the room begins normally. The camera flips to front facing. Madison smiles, lowers her voice slightly, and says, "Okay, so apparently this is a haunted thing." She turns the camera. Lenora is sitting in a wooden chair against the far wall. Small, fabric body, porcelain face, faintly discolored with age. One eye slightly misaligned, not enough to seem broken, just enough to feel wrong when you look at it too long. Madison zooms in. "Guys," she laughs, "this is literally just a doll." No greeting, no pause, just dismissal. The first abnormality is easy to miss. At the timestamp of 17 seconds, as Madison steps closer, the video glitches. Not a full distortion, just a slight frame skip. Lenora's head appears slightly angled more towards the camera than it was in the previous frame. It could not be compressed. It could not be movement blur. That's what most viewers assumed at first. Madison continued filming. "Let's see if she does anything," she says, circling the chair. "Lenora, right? That's your name?" No response, of course. Madison crouches slightly, bringing the camera level with the doll's face. "Blink if you're haunted," she grins. Then she laughs again. That same laugh. At 42 seconds in, the audio changes. Not dramatically. There's no scream, no sudden noise, but the background hum drops out for just under a second, replaced by something lower. Not a quiet voice, not static. When the ambient sound returns, Madison doesn't react, but the camera adjusts, just slightly, as if something prompted her to shift her grip. The second abnormality is not subtle. At 1 minute and 3 seconds, Madison flips the camera back to herself. "She's not doing anything, guys. I think we're safe." Behind her, Lenora is no longer facing forward. The doll's head is turned. Not fully. Just enough that one glass eye is now directed towards Madison's back. Madison doesn't notice. Not in that moment. She finishes the clip with a shrug and a smirk. Debunked. That video was uploaded at 3:02 p.m. By 3:11 p.m., the comments began. At first, they were typical. Jokes, reactions, people tagging friends. Then someone pointed out, "Pause at 1 minute and 30 seconds. More comments followed. "Why did it move? That's edited, right? Go back." Madison responded at 3:18 p.m. with a second video. This one is shorter, less polish. No, it didn't move, she said quickly. It's just the angles you guys are reaching. She laughs again, but this time it doesn't sound the same. There's a slight overlap, like her voice arrives a fraction of a second before and after itself. At 3:26 p.m., she posted a third video. This one was filmed in her car. The lighting is harsher, her expression tighter. Okay, so I rewatched it, she said. And yeah, it looks weird, but it's probably just like parallax or whatever. I'm heading out now. She pauses for just a second, then adds quieter. Stop spamming me. It's not funny. This is the last normal footage. At 4:02 p.m., Madison went live. The live stream lasted 9 minutes. It has been since removed, but partial recordings were received from viewers. The video begins with her camera pointed at the passenger seat. Empty. She's breathing harder than before. I didn't take anything, she said immediately. I didn't touch it. No one in the chat had accused her of that. Not yet. She turns the camera, and Lenora is sitting in her passenger seat. The stream quietly drops sharply at this point. Auto-tearing pixelations, but certain details remain consistent across all recovered clips. The doll is upright, seatbelt fastened, head tilted, not toward Madison, but slightly downward, as if looking at her hands. Madison began to panic. I didn't bring this, she said, voice shaking. This isn't funny. This isn't funny. Who put this here? She reached out, stops, pulls her hands back like she's touching something hot, even though she hasn't made contact. I didn't take you, she whispers. The audio distortion returns, stronger this time, under her voice, layered faintly. There is another sound. It follows her cadence, not repeating her words, but matching her rhythm. Madison starts the car. I'm bringing it back, she says quietly. I'm bringing it back right now, okay? Everyone needs to just calm down. She glances at the doll, then freezes. In every recorded version of the stream, this is the clearest moment. Madison is looking directly at Lenora, and the doll is no longer looking down. Its head is tilted up, eyes aligned, looking directly at her. The stream cuts out at 9 minutes and 14 seconds. No posts were made from Madison's account that day, or the next, or the next. 3 days later, a video appears. No caption, no tags, just a static shot. It shows the back of the museum, the chair, Lenora sitting exactly as before, facing forward, still. After 7 seconds, the doll's head tilts, slowly, deliberately, and a voice, Madison's voice, whispers, I'm sorry. The video ends. The account was deleted within the hour. No missing persons report under Madison's name has been publicly linked to this incident. But 2 weeks later, the museum received an envelope. No return address. Inside was a printed photo. Grainy. Taken from inside the car. Passenger seat. Seatbelt fastened. And on the back, written in red ink, I asked permission. Staff logged the item, filed it, and added a note beneath the original set of rules. Do not assume removal requires physical contact. At the time, staff believed the situation had resolved itself. An isolated incident. A visitor who pushed too far, panicked, and staged something for attention. But the details didn't match, because Madison wasn't the only one who laughed, and she wasn't the only one who ignored the rules. What follows occurred just 6 weeks later, and unlike in the first case, there were no cameras involved, only handwriting, and a pattern that should not have been possible. Case File 2. The Correction. Subject: Danielle K. Age: 34. Occupation: elementary school teacher. Incident type: progressive cognitive intrusion and environmental alteration. Status: active. Last confirmed contact: written correspondence. Danielle K. did not come to the museum looking for anything unusual. She wasn't filming content, wasn't chasing urban legends. By all accounts, she wasn't even particularly interested in the exhibit. She was on vacation. A week off in late summer, booked between school year, before the classroom filled again with noise, schedules, and the quiet exhaustion that comes from being responsible for other people's children 5 days a week. Her email confirmed shows that she had planned the trip down to the hour. Beach mornings, a boat tour, a dinner reservation on her second night. The museum wasn't on her itinerary. She found it by accident. According to staff, Danielle entered approximately at 11:08 a.m. She signed the guest log clearly, full name, neat handwriting, the kind that you'd expect from someone who spends their day correcting papers. There were no notes attached to her visit, no incident reports, nothing unusual. The first record that anything was wrong came from a receipt, folded inside the local cafe's register drawer at closing. On the back, written in red pen, "This is incorrect." The cashier assumed it was a mistake, a bored customer scribbling nonsense. The receipt was tossed. The note was forgotten. 2 days later, Danielle sent an email. It wasn't addressed to the museum. It was sent to herself. The subject line read, "Fix this." The body of the email contained a paragraph. Short, direct, written in Danielle's voice. I visited the small museum off the coastal road. There was a doll in the back room. I don't remember her name, but it was old, fabric body, porcelain face. one eye slightly off center. It wasn't anything, just an object. I said that out loud. I remember that clearly. Below the paragraph, the same text appeared again, not identical. I visited a small museum off Coastal Road. There was a doll in the back room. I don't remember her name, but it was old, fabric body, porcelain face, one eye slightly off center. It wasn't anything. That was incorrect. Danielle did not send this email, not manually. It was found later in her drafts folder. Time lapsed, 2:17 a.m. The next morning she called the museum. The call was logged by the front desk staff. The transcript is partial, but enough was recorded to establish tone. Hi. Yes, I was there a few days ago. I just had a question about one of your exhibits. Pause. No, not the main ones. The smaller room towards the back. Longer pause. Yes, that one. According to staff notes, this is where her tone shifted. More hesitant, more controlled. I don't remember saying anything inappropriate, she said, but I wanted to check to see if there are expectations for interacting with it. The staff member on duty was new at the time, did not mention the rules. They laughed lightly, told her it was just a display and nothing to worry about. Danielle responded, I thought so. Paused, then quieter. I just wanted to be sure. The call ended. No report was filed. That night, Danielle began grading. Recovered notes from her laptop showed she was reviewing student writing samples, standard assignments, short responses. Nothing unusual, except for the correction. At first glance, they appeared normal. Red pen marks, circles, underline, brief comments in the margins. But the timestamps don't match. Several show edits after Danielle had closed the files. Comments appearing minutes, sometimes hours later, all in the same red ink, all in her handwriting style. But the phrasing was not hers. This is incorrect. You did not ask. You assumed. Danielle noticed there are search logs from that night. Files editing themselves. Autosave glitches commenting appearing. Can someone access my laptop remotely? At 1:43 a.m. she stopped working. At 1:47 a.m. she opened a new document. File is titled Apology. The contents begin normally. I'm not sure if this is necessary, but I wanted to clarify that if I didn't mean any disrespect, I didn't know there were specific expectations, and if I had, I would have followed them. I understand now that I should have acknowledged. The sentence ends there, because the rest is not typed. It's handwritten, scanned into the document as an image. The handwriting matches Danielle's, but the pressure is heavier, lines less controlled. You spoke without permission. You defied what you did not understand. You corrected incorrectly. Danielle printed the document at 2:02 a.m. The printer log confirms it. At 2:05 a.m., another page printed. Blank document. No file associated. No command recorded. On the center of the page, one sentence. Do it again. The following day, Danielle attempted to leave. Her booking shows she clearly checked out early, parked her car, and started driving north. At 9:26 a.m., she pulled over, called her sister. The call lasted 4 minutes. I kept missing things, Danielle said. Pause. No, not forgetting. Missing. Like, I look at something and it's wrong, and then I look again and it's different. She began to cry. Quietly. Controlled. I think I said something, she added. Back there. I think I said it didn't matter. Her sister told her to come home, to stop somewhere public, to rest. Danielle agreed, hung up. At 9:41 a.m., she turned the car around. She returned to the museum at 10:13 a.m. There is no security footage from inside the back room that day, only the hallway. Danielle is seen entering, holding papers, a folder pressed tightly to her chest. She does not come back for 11 minutes, and when she does, she's no longer holding the folder. Staff approach her, asked her if everything was all right. She smiled, nodded, and said, I fixed it. No incident report was filed, not until later, because 3 days after Danielle returned home, envelopes began arriving. Elementary schools, administrative offices, even parents. Each envelope contained a copy of student work, assignments Danielle had graded. But the corrections were no longer hers. Red ink covered every page, not circling grammar, not marking spelling, correcting statements. This is incorrect. You must ask. You do not decide what matters. At the bottom of every page, the same signature. Not Danielle's, just one word. Lenora. Danielle was placed on administrative leave, not for misconduct, for evaluation. Her final submission statement is included in this file. Handwritten, careful, controlled. I understand now that it was not my place to define what I didn't understand. I have corrected the error. I will continue correcting until it is consistent. Beneath that statement, in darker ink, pressed harder into the page, a second line. Still incorrect. By this point, staff could no longer deny a pattern. The incidents weren't identical, but they followed structure. Disrespect, dismissal, correction, response. But the third case changes everything, because for the first time, there were two witnesses, two perspectives, and the only one of them remained consistent. And whatever Lenora was doing, it was no longer reacting. It was choosing. Case file number 3, the quieter one. Subjects: Aaron M., 32, Lila M., 29. Incident type: dual witness distortion, behavioral divisions, disappearance. Status: 1 accounted for, 1 unresolved. Aaron and Lila arrived together. Unlike the previous cases, they were not alone, not distracted, and not unaware. They had heard about the museum before, though not through any official source. A forum thread, active now. Most of the posts removed, but fragments remain. There's a doll in the back room. No signs, no staff guidance. People leave notes. Don't joke about it. Seriously, don't. Aaron thought it was funny. Lila didn't. Their text messages from earlier that day were recovered from Aaron's phone. Lila, maybe let's just not mess with anything. Aaron, it's a doll. Lila, I know. I just don't like stuff like that. Aaron, we're going to look at it and leave. Aaron, promise. Lila, okay. According to the entry logs, they arrived at 1:52 p.m. They signed in together. Lila's handwriting smaller, tighter. Aaron's larger and looser. Security footage shows them moving through the museum side by side. Close, conversational, normal. At 2:07 p.m., they enter the back room. The hallway camera captures them stopping just inside the doorway. There is no audio, but their body language is clear. Lila pauses first. Aaron steps forward. He turns slightly, says something to her, casual, dismissive. She doesn't laugh. He does. There is no camera inside the room, but based on later statements, we know what happened next, because Aaron told the story many times, always the same way. We walked in, and it was just sitting there, smaller than I expected. Old, yeah, but nothing special. He described the room as quiet, not silent, but too still. I said something like, "This is what people are scared of," he continued. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I just said it. Lila's version differs. According to her written statement, Aaron didn't just comment. He challenged. He asked it to do something. I told him not to. He laughed. Aaron denies this consistently. What they both agreed on is that they argued. Not loudly, not dramatically, but enough. Lila wanted to leave. Aaron wanted to stay longer, just to prove a point. And then something shifted. Aaron described it as a feeling, like when you walk into a room and forget why you're there, he said, just for a second. Lila describes it differently. I stopped being sure of where I was standing. Neither of them mentioned movement. Not yet. They leave the room at 2:11 p.m. The hallway footage confirms this. At first glance, nothing is wrong. They walk side by side again, but there is a distance now. Subtle. Half a step. By the time they reach the exit, they are no longer speaking. That night, they check into a hotel. A single room, 1 bed. Standard. At 9:14 p.m., Aaron sends a message to his friend. Weird place. Lila got freaked out over nothing. At 9:22 p.m., Lila texts her sister. Something is following us. Neither responds to the other. The first major discrepancy appears at 10:03 p.m. Aaron claims Lila fell asleep early. Didn't say much, he said, just turned away and knocked out. Lila account says that she never slept. He kept getting up, walking around, standing near the door. There is no camera footage from inside the room, but there is hallway surveillance. At 10:17 p.m., the door opens. Aaron steps out. At 10:19 p.m., the door opens again. Aaron steps out. Same clothes, same posture. The first Aaron walks left, the second right. Neither return within the next hour. Inside the room, Lila remains. Her statement was given 3 days later. I heard him moving, but I couldn't see him, not properly. Every time I looked directly, it felt like I was looking at the wrong place. She described the mirror as delayed. I would move and it would catch up after, just slightly. At 11:02 p.m., there's a knock at the door. Lila does not open it. It sounded like him, she said, but it didn't knock right. She explains this 3 times in her statement, each phrased differently, none clearer. At 11:05 p.m., the handle turns. The door opens. Aaron enters. Or something does. Lila's statement becomes inconsistent. Sentences crossed out, rewritten, corrected. It was him. It wasn't him. Cross that out and replaced with, it was him, but wrong. She describes his posture first. He was too still, like he was waiting to be told how to move. And then she talked about his voice. He asked why I didn't open the door. I said I didn't think it was him. He said that was incorrect. Aaron has no memory of this. His next confirmed location is 11:23 p.m., gas station footage 2 miles away. He is alone. He appears agitated. He keeps looking over his shoulder, purchases nothing, and leaves. Meanwhile, back in the hotel room, Lila stops speaking. Her phone records no activity after 11:11 p.m. At 6:42 a.m., the hotel staff performs a welfare check. The room is empty. No signs of struggle. No belongings missing, except one thing. On the bedside table, there is a folded piece of paper. Inside, a note, written with 2 distinct styles. The first is Lila's. We shouldn't have stayed. The second, heavier, less controlled. You chose for both. Aaron is located that day later. Driving, no destination. When questioned, he insisted Lila left the room during the night. She said she needed air, he stated. I told her I'd come with her, but she said no. There is no footage of Lila leaving. Only Aaron. Twice. When presented with the footage, Aaron became agitated. That's not possible, he repeats. I didn't leave twice. The footage is clear. 2 exits, 2 directions, same man. Aaron's final statement is recorded 2 days later. He's calmer, quieter now. I think I understand now, he says. Pause. It wasn't about believing. Longer pause. It was about choosing. He looked directly at the interviewer, and I didn't. Aaron was released. No charges. No conclusion. 2 weeks later, the museum recovers another envelope. Inside, a photograph, taken in low light, grainy. A hotel room. A mirror visible in the background. And in that mirror, 2 figures. One facing forward. The other, slightly delayed, watching. On the back of the photo, written in red ink, the quieter one stays. There are no official statements connecting these cases. No investigations that link the footage, the letters, the corrections. Individually, they can be explained, dismissed, filed away as coincidence, stress, fabrication. But the museum still receives mail. Apologies, explanations, corrections. Some are handwritten, some typed. Some arrive blank until they aren't. Staff no longer discusses the rules openly, not because they don't matter, but because the pattern suggests something worse. The rules are not there to protect the visitors. They are there to define the interaction, to establish acknowledgement, permission, choice. And when those things are ignored, Lenora doesn't react immediately. She waits. Because whatever she is, she doesn't need the attention. She doesn't need belief. She only needs one thing: to be recognized. And once she is, the correction begins. If you ever find yourself in a place that feels too still, where something sits quietly, waiting, it would be better to say something, even if you feel ridiculous, even if you don't believe it matters. Because every documented case shares one final detail. Not everyone who apologizes remember doing it, and some corrections don't stop. The candle is burning low now, and the swamp has grown quiet. If you're still awake, there's always another story waiting for you here. Sleep well, and I'll be right here when you return.